So now let's pivot away from the racist treatment by police and go back to the medical community. Historically, medicine has overlooked the role of society's structural barriers to good health among Black Americans, like toxic housing, etc., like we just covered. Instead, genetics, individual choice, like eating habits and weight, and even race have been blamed. About 14% of Black people in America over the age of 65 have Alzheimer's, compared with 10% of white people, according to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. The disparity is likely even more because many Black people aren't being diagnosed correctly. A recent study found that Black participants in Alzheimer's disease research studies were 35% less likely to be diagnosed than white participants. So factors leading to Alzheimer's start much earlier in life. Health conditions like heart disease and diabetes are known risk factors for Alzheimer's. Both are more common among Black populations. And remember, mental stress can cause high blood pressure, which can lead to heart disease. And let's not forget the legitimate distrust to never get checked out that people have. So we are back to physical ailments causing mental ones and mental ailments causing physical ones. And it's all connected in a truly vicious cycle. You have all of these things that are precursors to one another, and there's all of these ancillary conditional environmental reasons, stressors that are causing all of these things, whether it's toxic environments or stress from racist policing or whatever it may be. So this takes us to the reason why I started talking about this in the very beginning, to recent legislation and the additional frustration that so many will be feeling now. And that is Texas and Florida have signed laws shutting down diversity offices in public universities. And I can't help but think that this is just the beginning, given all the rhetoric from those governors. So that's right. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis have signed bills into law that will close all diversity, equity, and inclusion offices in all state-funded colleges and universities. And I'm sure, like I said, there is more to come. This also comes as the Supreme Court later this month is widely expected to ban colleges and universities from considering race as a factor in their admission decisions. Republican State Senator Brandon Creighton, who was one of the bill's authors, said in a statement, and I quote, "Texas is leading the nation in ensuring our campuses return to focusing on the strength of diversity and promoting a merit-based approach where individuals are judged on their qualifications, skills, and contributions," end quote. So clearly, Senator Brandon believes that everyone has an equitable start and that merit alone will give everyone equal opportunity, which clearly isn't the case. Hard to rise to that standard when you've been sick from birth, institutions ignore you, and your mental health is under constant assault every moment of your life.
We're also going to assume. I mean, that is assuming. Again, it's funny because it's so racist that you have to laugh about how racist it is. Because look, I'm just saying you have to in order to engage in that level of logic, in order to engage that idea, you already have to assume that students who are not white in general do not perform as well or are not as intelligent seeming as white students. So you have to assume that there has been a massive handout given to any student that is not white. I mean, we're just going to call it what it is, in order to attend a university, which is funny because there are clear records in the 60s, 50s, 70s. I mean, before integration, for instance, where you did have students of minority backgrounds who were testing incredibly well, who had everything that was required to attend university and were denied access based on the color of their skin. So this return to merit is so, I mean, I don't know what to call it. I feel like we need a new word. I feel like we need a Germanism, like a word that we've just concocted that is just this sense of, it's a sense of irony, ridiculousness, hilarity, all rolled into one. It's just this one word of like I don't know, like stupefied. It's got to be something so ridiculous to basically encapsulate what's going on here. A return to merit in a time that was meritless because you were giving opportunity to people that may not have deserved opportunity based on the color of their skin and denying opportunity to people who did deserve opportunity based on the color of their skin. And now you want to destroy diversity inclusion that was essentially prohibiting you from returning to that era where you were allowing students who are white or majority Anglo to go into university ahead of other minority based students. You want to return to that, and so you're going to get rid of these diversity places, but you're going to say that this is the true merit. This is the way it should be. You should be able to get into college based on being white. It's what is egregious is getting into college based on being black. That's crazy. We need to reverse this, and we need to do it now.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
think
Abbott is telling everybody, by the way. That's I'm just trying to put it in layman's terms. But that's what I hear, what he says, what he said, that's what I hear. Because because that's what he's saying. But anyway.
there is no return to merit, as you're saying. That period never existed. So the idea that you're returning the system back to its equilibrium is a falsehood. It's a revisionist history concept. There was never a merit-based system. There was white people competing on merit, maybe, but everyone else was excluded. Right? I think that's
That's
kind of
exactly
what you're
it. I
getting
mean,
at.
yeah, you've simplified it. That's exactly what we're talking about here. So I don't know what we're
So
returning to. You're returning to
yeah,
exclusion, I guess.
there's no return, and now you're getting rid of the one thing that leveled the playing field. That's the difference between equal and equitable, right? This was making it equitable because we still haven't fixed everything to make it equal. With all the stacked against, we have all this stuff that we discussed that's stacked against an entire segment of a population. They do not have an equitable or really equal shot at prosperity, right? There's not from generational wealth perspective, not from a pull yourself up by your bootstrap one, because you have all these external factors and stressors constantly burdening them, keeping the segment of the population down. And it's I just don't understand how like these two states are doing this. And again, not to be one upped, because it's like you have Florida and Texas doing this, and then Florida's taking it a couple steps further, but or I should say, they're taking it a couple steps further than Texas now, at least, because Florida's new law also bans what can be taught in the state's higher education institutions. We covered this a little bit before. So this is an expansion of DeSantis' attack on K through 12, and now he's limiting any discussions on race and identity, race history and identity. But Texas is also working on something very similar, just isn't out yet.
I
So
want to
it's just
say I want to say one more thing about this because I think I really need to hit this home because I feel like especially comment section and it's very easy for someone to just come in and say that well nobody should be getting a head up based on race, it should always be by the numbers, but that's not listening to what the numbers show. That there's complete data that's been compiled that shows that a college educated black person may or may not make as much money as a non-college educated white person in their lifetime. That there is data to reflect that. So to say that two guys, let's say we're just going to use guys here. You have one white guy named Harry. He has a B plus average. He wants to go to Texas State. You have a guy named Jake. Because I'm not going to go with a typical ethnic name. It's Jake, and Jake has a B plus average and wants to go to Texas State. They're going to be equal. This is how it usually works in admissions. What they're going to say is, well, Harry, we have like it's 60% white for this class. We basically have this quota where first of all, diversity adds something to the educational platform because you have people coming in with different walks of life. That's going to broaden someone's perspective. It's going to broaden your outlook. It's going to add something to the plate. There's value in diversity from an academic setting. So to just simply say, all right, Jake, we know there's only 3% black people so far. We want to make it 5% because we know that this is important for everyone to learn from one another. By the way, these numbers are ridiculous, but these are the numbers usually you're working with. 5%, 10% of the class is minority, especially if you're talking about black minority. They're gonna give it to Jake because they believe diversity is important. And guess what? They're both equal. They both have very good grades. But the truth is that Harry can go to another university and he will be just fine. Jake probably needs to go to this best university just to make out as well, or he probably won't make out as well as Harry. Harry could go to community college and probably out earn Jake at the best university of the state. That's the statistics. That's the truth. So yeah, we're going to give this opportunity to Jake to say we're at least giving you the best shot you possibly have. Sorry, Harry, you couldn't party at this school. It's unfortunate, but you're going to be just fine. You're going to go to another school because you're both Jake and Harry are both smart people. Their grades are fantastic. Harry's going to go somewhere else. He's going to get a B plus average, and he's going to become a CEO one day. Jake, who knows what might happen to Jake? Jake would be lucky to be able to earn like anything near what Harry will earn, regardless of wherever he goes. So
Jake will work for Harry.
Jake most likely will work for Harry. That's exactly right. So I'm trying to say, I'm trying to put it in layman's terms as to how this actually pans out away from the jargon, away from the way it gets framed, because I think that a lot of the conversation omits these very real facts. And I think that without this understanding, it is very easy to jump on board and simply say, yeah, diversity sucks. Like you should not be going there based on the color of your skin. You need to look at the way that these two paths would actually play out and will probably play out. Without this inclusion, the class is now 90 because of choice, your preferential choice. You're just going to say, I want more white kids because I'm white and I feel comfortable in a white environment. So I'm going to admit Harry and I'm not going to admit Jake. They're both equal, but I like white more than I like black. And that's going to be your new school. That's going to be the new normal. And that's the return. That's the way it was before. That's basically what you're going to get going forward. So how fair is that one? I don't think that's very fair, but apparently, yeah, the people of Texas and Florida do. So anyway,
Because
continue.